Emerald Twilight is often remembered as the moment Green Lantern became Parallax. But the more useful way to read it is as a tragedy about grief meeting absolute power, and a system built to punish failure instead of understand it. In 3 issues, Hal Jordan goes from one of the Corps' greatest protectors to the force that breaks it apart. The story starts with Coast City, but its real question is bigger. What happens when a hero loses the thing that made being a hero matter? DC's own collection description is direct. Coast City's destruction drives Hal toward desperation. This is not a normal defeat he can fly away from. The city is his home, his memory, and the proof that his role as protector had meaning. With a power ring capable of creating almost anything he can imagine, Hal tries to reach backward, to make the impossible feel repairable. But a construct is not a life restored. It can reproduce the shape of a street, the color of a sky, or the outline of a home. It cannot make grief obey. The more Hal reaches for an answer that power cannot truly provide, the more the line between grief and control begins to vanish. That is what makes the opening of Emerald Twilight unsettling. The ring that once represented willpower becomes a mirror for a person who cannot accept that some losses are beyond the reach of even a hero. And once power becomes a substitute for mourning, every choice after that becomes more dangerous.
The Guardians see Hal's response as a violation, not a wound. That difference turns pain into conflict. Instead of meeting him as a person in crisis, the system meets him as a threat to order. Emerald Twilight does not work because the Guardians are simply wrong or Hal is simply right. It works because a rigid institution and a devastated man make each other worse. Hal believes the rules cannot understand what he has lost. The Guardians believe rules are the only thing preventing his power from becoming dangerous. Neither side can step back. From there, the story becomes a collision with the Corps itself. Hal's path to Oa is not just a march of power, it is a severing of identity. Every former ally who tries to stop him represents the version of Hal that believed in the mission, the oath, and the shared responsibility of the Lanterns. His strength is frightening, precisely because he understands the Corps from the inside. He knows its tools, its rituals, and its blind spots. But each victory costs him another connection to the person he was trying to save in the first place. That is the tragedy at the center of the journey. Hal tells himself that he is reclaiming control, yet the road keeps taking him farther from everything his role once meant. The green light has always been associated with will. Emerald Twilight asks what happens when willpower has no patience, no empathy, and no one left able to tell it no. By the time Hal reaches Oa, the conflict has become larger than Coast City. It has become a challenge to the entire idea of the Corps. At Oa, the conflict reaches its irreversible point. The central power battery is more than a power source. It is the shared foundation of the Green Lantern Corps. When Hal takes that power for himself, he does not just become stronger, he turns a personal tragedy into a universe-level rupture. DC's official collection describes the outcome as Hal's fall into Parallax, an unstoppable force. That name matters because it transforms him from a hero defined by willpower into a warning about willpower without balance, community, or restraint. But Emerald Twilight is not only an ending, it is also a handoff. DC's collection connects Hal's fall to the arrival of Kyle Rayner, who receives the last power ring and becomes the next Green Lantern. That choice changes the emotional direction of the story. The old system collapses, but the idea of Green Lantern does not disappear. Kyle enters not as the perfect replacement for Hal, but as proof that legacy can continue after catastrophe. The ring survives because the meaning behind it has to be rebuilt by someone new. That is why Emerald Twilight still matters. It is not just the fall of a hero or the rise of a villain. It is a story about a protector who cannot accept a loss, an institution that cannot respond with empathy, and a legacy that survives only by changing. The green light does not vanish. It finds another way forward. What DC tragedy should I explain next?